chosen to watch the game at Hooters? I've got two. Ice cold beer and our world famous wings.
Why would you go anywhere else?
Now, before we get started, let's just address the elephant in the room. Baby, why are you in your finest $20 suit jacket from the Salvation Army? I'll tell you, baby, we're going to Hooters. I mean, not literally. Most of them are closed down, and I don't even think we ever had one in New Zealand. If we did, the answer will appear right here. Today, we're going to be talking about the rise and fall of Hooters.
The past is sacred. I found more than I expected.
Hooters was a restaurant chain that answered the age-old question, what if we took buffalo wings and boobs and made it a full-time job? A place where you could bring your wife and pretend you were definitely there for the curly fries. But today we're talking about how Hooters went from being a cultural juggernaut being referred to in movies, books, TV shows and songs to being a relic of a hyper-sexist past. Because nothing lasts forever. Especially not the appeal of a restaurant where the main ingredient is awkwardly avoiding eye contact with your waitress. Or not, you could just straight raw dog it like a creep. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Hooters started in Florida in 1983, where old white Americans retire and people rob gas stations with alligators. I wished I made that last part up, but it actually happened. For Hooters itself though, it begins with 6 businessmen who were either visionaries or just really into the concept of perky service. There's gonna be a lot of boob puns in this video because my writing is extremely lazy. Okay, so a quick background on the owners. 6 Florida dudes incorporated Hooters on April Fool's Day 1983 because they legitimately thought it was going to flop harder than Disney's John Carter. Lynn, Gil, Ed, Billy, Ken, and Dennis all chipped in on a crumbling nightclub in Clearwater, Florida. In fact, so many shops had died on that site, the boys straight up built a graveyard out front for them. They opened the doors of the first Hooters 6 months later on October 4th, 1983, and decorated it with random stuff from Iowa, for reasons that probably made sense after a few rounds of drinks. Then, plot twist, Hugh Connerty shows up like the Monopoly man and buys the rights. The original Hooters 6 hold on to just 4 locations. Then, a few years later, some Atlanta investors go full Game of Thrones and snatch up the whole thing, creating Hooters of America. Eventually, Robert H. Brooks buys everyone out in 2002 and becomes King Hooter. He then blasts the brand worldwide with over 425 locations of fried chicken chaos and tank tops. In 2006, tragedy strikes, Brooks passes away after a heart attack at Myrtle Beach, and in the most Hooters way possible, he leaves his empire to his kids, Kobe and Bonnie Bell, because nothing says family legacy like wings and cleavage. You might actually remember Kobe from this episode of Undercover Boss, where he went to various restaurants and exposed all the nasty shit they were having the girls do. Like that one dude, Jimmy, that was making them eat beans off a plate without using their hand. Oh, it's just weird. Okay, we're all caught up, back to the story. But anyway, they decided to open a restaurant where it wasn't the atmosphere or the food or even the locations that were going to be the main attraction. It was going to be the uniforms. Or better yet, what was inside of the uniforms. Ugh. At the start, they called their concept delightfully tacky yet unrefined, which I'm pretty sure is the name of at least one Auckland bar. But unlike most Auckland bars, Hooters had a gimmick that actually worked. Men, unsurprisingly, wanted to eat there, and some women, kind of surprisingly, actually wanted to work there. And the entire world just pretended like this was a family-friendly restaurant. By the 90s, Hooters was everywhere. Franchise locations were popping up like chicken pox, and America was eating it up, literally and figuratively. They even had celebrity endorsements. You had people like Muhammad Ali, Dennis Rodman, and Johnny Depp dropping by. Yes, the Johnny Depp. Any place that could be mistaken for a real-life Tortuga, bet your ass Captain Jack Sparrow's there. You know, the place where he gets slapped by the ladies in the movie. It's not fun when I have to explain it, okay? You should just get the joke. But of course, when your entire business model revolves around the fact that you can only hire ladies that look like they've stepped straight out of FHM or Sports Illustrated magazine, lawsuits are gonna happen. Hooters spent years battling against discrimination claims. Even some men applied for these jobs and sued over gender discrimination, only to be told, sorry, we're only hiring women with a certain skill set. It's boobs. They had to have big boobs. Okay, so the main attraction of the restaurant, enter the Hooters Girl, a title that somehow both sounds like a superhero and a lawsuit waiting to happen. These waitresses wear a uniform that is less business casual and more cheerleader loses a bet. We're talking tight white tank tops, Hootie the Owl, yes, he has a name, smacked across the chest, and neon orange nylon shorts that could qualify as a choking hazard. But wait, there's more. The full kit includes tan pantyhose, scrunchy white socks, and pristine white sneakers, because God forbid you serve wings in dirty shoes. Add a brown ticket pouch for tips, and boom, you're officially a Hooters Girl. Now, according to the employee handbook, a document so iconic it was leaked by the smoking gun, says customers can go anywhere for wings and beer. It's the Hooters Girls that make it unique. And just to really lock in their 90s sitcom vibe, female employees were forced to sign a form that said, yes, I will wear the teeny weeny uniform, yes, I will interact with the customers, and yes, I understand the whole vibe here is sex appeal with a side of ranch dressing. And because these 6 corporate overlords were nothing if not stubborn, they defended themselves by basically saying, hey look, people are not coming to Hooters for the food. They are coming to be entertained. They argued that they weren't being discriminatory, but they were hiring entertainers for a very specific job within their establishment. And look, if you went into Hooters expecting what Hooters has, and a 30-something dude with hair on his knuckles comes over and gives you your wings in a tank top, I don't think you'd be hungry for wings anymore. Imagine Kevin James comes over in booty shorts and goes, here's buffalo wings, chief. Enjoy. We could, however, start a male one and call it Rooters. Where are my Australians at? Oh God. Speaking of bad business ideas, let's talk about the inspiring venture that was Hooters Air. Yes, this was a real thing. In 2003, some genius at corporate HQ decided that America absolutely needed an airline where all of the air hostesses were dressed like Hooters waitresses and they were served wings mid-flight. Shockingly, people who wanted to ogle waitresses did not also want to do it 30,000 feet in the air. Hooters Air crashed, metaphorically, after 3 years, losing millions of dollars in the process. Turns out sexy chicken wing stewardess is not a job a lot of people want to apply for a start, but also not a very good business model. Plus, apparently tickets for regional fairs were way more than they would be on any other airline, and the only difference is the air hostesses were wearing slightly more revealing clothing, and you got served, subpar chicken. So people just didn't bother. I mean, there's got to be some creepy dudes who are just like, oh yeah, absolutely. But realistically, your sort of father of 2 on his way to a conference is not going to go with Hooters Air, even if the wife doesn't know about it. Fast forward now to 2010, and Hooters had already been on a pretty gradual decline. Hooters was still hanging on to its outdated assets, let's say, but the world was moving on. Women were finally starting to speak out about workplace exploitation. The Me Too movement had started to take over social media. Women were starting to feel a lot more comfortable speaking out against the creeps in their lives, and shockingly, millennials didn't want to take their dates where the dress code was incredibly short shorts and an incredibly low-cut tank top. Why not? And by 2020, feminist groups were calling out Hooters for its outdated policies. Even some employees at the time and ex-employees from back in the day started speaking out against some of the policies.
Sandra Lupo is suing the restaurant chain for discrimination. This all happened last summer after she had a mass removed from her brain.
They said you need to find a wig, and if you don't by your next shift, then we need to know so we can get it covered by another girl.
Lawsuit alleges the Hooters girls who were black or had dark skin tones experienced racial discrimination and hostility from Hooters managers.
And the employers, not the greatest move on their part, decided to double down and try and get their employees to wear even skimpier clothing.
Hooters employees are taking to TikTok to share their frustrations over a recent uniform change. They say the new shorts are more like underwear, and some even threatened to quit because of it.
And finally, in late 2024, just last year, Hooters filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And as it turns out, it wasn't cancel culture or woke mobs that finally broke Hooters. It was the fact that no one wants to pay inflated prices for soggy chicken wings and their awkward boner under the table that everyone has but no one wants to talk about. Over 40 years, their business boiled down to women finally realizing they are more than just eye candy, and people finally realizing that the food is just so people stop going. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the rise and fall of Hooters. It's a tale as old as time. Man sees boobs, man starts business. Business thrives. Business gets sued because boobs. Business fails. Man sad. Circle of life. And while we say goodbye to this cultural relic of a business that will be long forgotten to pretty much everyone except people like me who thrive on pop culture history, let's take a moment to truly remember what mattered. It wasn't the wings, it wasn't the lawsuits, it wasn't even the skimpy outfits. It was the fact that someone thought that Hooters Air was gonna make any money whatsoever. Holy new videos every fortnight. Remember to like and subscribe. Head over to bbmalloy.com for exclusive content. This suit is really hot, and it's really hot in this room. Goodness gracious. That's all I have to say about that. Peace, and have a good day.
The past is sacred. I found more than I expected.